Fire 716, your boy Big Frank. You're locked into Big Frank in the morning. What it is, what's up? In the room with me is my boy Daniel the Dark Knight. What's happening? What's going on? Do me a favor, subscribe. Subscribe for those who are on YouTube. Subscribe, share it. Facebook, please share it. This morning's conversation is going to hit a little bit different because I'm low key in my feelings. So I guess I can just call a spade a spade.
Kiki don't love me. She ain't riding.
I know that. listen. No. So, I'm in this business class, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this business class is teaching us that, hey, listen, your business is the reflection of yourself. No matter the people who are using the services or the customers, they don't see it that way. But long story short, whatever you lack in the business oftentimes is a reflection of what you may lack personally. Now, so last week they had a class and they was talking about self-care and value and knowing your worth in these elements. And for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'm just being very honest, I've been struggling because I've been living for a whole lot of people. I've been accommodating for everybody else, and I've put myself on the back burner. And I've been doing this for quite some time to the point that it became my norm, if that makes sense. And watch this, and I'm gonna use y'all gonna like me in the house of the Lord. And then I use my heart as a servant to validate why I was doing what I was doing. So what has happened is I find myself overly extended, number one, without any true compensation for my extension.
Ain't no
get back. And now that I'm gonna just say, now that I'm in trouble, I don't see help. And I think it is that part that makes it hard. Like when things are okay, things are okay. When things can get by, but when I'm like, Lord, I don't. It's you, Jesus. If you don't, who will?
Right.
You know. And I think that sometimes we get caught up just trying to appease or trying to satisfy other people. And I'll say this, and I have no problem being honest. And feel free to call in, to chime in, to tap in, to give your input, your wisdom, because I literally won't take certain positions or certain things because I'm worried about how this may affect certain people who are not necessarily in my inner workings of family, but it's like, hey, if I do this, this impedes upon 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
But so I'll take the risk, or you can call it faith. Let's call it how we call it, faith. And it's just like, how, number one, having faith in these things, but now that I feel like my walls are caving in, and I feel like I'm getting ready to lose what I've been trying to build, now that it affects my family in such a way, excuse me, it causes me to have to revalue or restructure how I execute things. And that's really where I am. That's where I am on this Friday morning in the city of Niagara Falls, Western New York, where the rain is descending from the heavens. And it's like, what tools, and I put this on Facebook, what are you doing, like, spiritually and practically, to identify the value in your life? Because I feel like sometimes we don't. Do you know how valuable you are? Like, not just, oh, we appreciate you, we love you. No, right. Do you know your value?
Right. You know, that's a hard thing to really think about. And it's crazy because I've been thinking about that lately. And it's weird because as men, you're not taught that your value is in yourself.
Yeah.
You taught that your value is in what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's your value is in what you stand for, and what you won't do and what you will do, what you willing to bend over backwards for and what you're not. We don't really talk about, well, how do you value yourself though?
Right.
You know, not even. And then when we ask that question, we tend to categorize ourselves in that same way, whereas like, well, I can do this and I can do that, and
Right.
you know, I make this much, and I pay these bills, and I take care of this stuff and do these things, and sometimes, and it make you feel good, like, you know, I can do stuff.
Yeah.
But then when something come by that's like, dang, I was doing all this, why isn't this falling in place?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and now you looking at yourself as if, well, what ain't you doing?
Yeah.
You know, instead of it being, maybe this is just how people are.
Yeah.
And maybe they just not gonna get it how I got it in the same way I got it.
Yeah.
And maybe I just don't have the control.
Right. And it's those factors, like maybe I don't have control. And maybe I don't have these things, but what we'll do is we'll, I use the same word again, overextend ourselves.
Right.
Trying to fight so hard to do. And part two to the business class situation is that we will do things and we will give out so much, but at a cheaper rate. Now I don't make it sound like it's a prostitution exchange, but it's like, hey, the value that I am giving out, I'm not getting that back in compensation. And when I first was listening to this, I thought about it for business itself, you know, but the podcast and these elements. But I look at my life and I'm like, God, I love you. And to serve you, here I am, Lord, send me. But I'm literally taking hits and losses to accommodate for other people, and availing myself and doing this thing. And then when I come to bring up compensation for it, it's a challenge. But it's like, yo, I know I know my value, but knowing your value is only phase one.
Right.
Like, how do you now how do you take knowing your value and your worth and hey, I bring this to the, not just what I bring to the table, but the conglomerate of who I am. It's me,
right.
Not just what I can do, but listen, I know that when I show up, I'm gonna handle things.
Right.
I know that when I get there, I'm gonna handle, I'm gonna pay for it, I'm gonna take care of it as a man, as a friend, as a brother, as a son. I'm gonna do these things, but when I put pressure, or I need I won't keep saying the word compensation, you know, when I need a return on what I'm doing, now it's a problem, or now it's a challenge, now it's iffy. No.
Right.
I get it when they be like, oh, it's now it's not, it's about the money. It's about the money now,
right?
Because it hasn't been about the money for the last 3 years,
right. And then Evolve Church, we're taught to be humble.
Yes,
and as people that are more serious than some about walking this walk,
right?
We take that to heart. We are told that, you know, our value isn't here.
Yeah.
You know, that our value is in heaven. But at the same time, you know, I mean, we are told that we are wanted to prosper.
Right.
As your soul prospers.
Yeah.
As your soul will prosper.
Right.
How, you know what I mean? So, and true, you know, bishops, pastors, probably been teaching since before I was born, like, you can have your heaven here. You need to get yourself together.
No, valid.
You know what I mean? And that in itself sounds good when I'm in church.
Yeah.
Shoot, living holy sound great when I'm in church. You know what I mean? It's so easy to do it.
Yeah.
When Bishop is around, it's so easy to do it when my mother is around. But then when we leave and now we get back into our routine, it's like we go back to that being humble about everything, instead of being like, I am a force. I can do these things,
like, for sure.
I should just be doing it.
And I should just be doing it. And because we have this false humility, we are taking hits and losses that are not required. Like,
It's not even wanted.
it's not even wanted. Like, the reason why you're not as successful as you could be is because you keep taking these. I'm gonna say how it came. These low level hits.
Right.
If you present yourself in the quality, in the value that you are, and I'm saying you make people, but you present yourself in such a way where people have to honor the value that you bring.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that we don't. I think as men we don't culturally, and y'all may not like me this morning, and as Christians sometimes we're not. We're so. The meek will inherit the earth, and being humble, I get it before the throne. But even Jesus himself, listen, I am the Sabbath. There is, and I'm not going to call it cockiness, but there's a sense of knowing. Is the element, who are you and what value do you bring when you show up?
Right. To be religious. Not to be religious, because my religious is lifestyle.
Like,
we forget about the authority in the physical when we're not in the spiritual.
yeah.
And I think that may be our thing. And I know a lot of people, well, no, not a lot of people, new Christians would be like, they never read Old Testament stuff and things like that. But those are where those lessons are.
Yeah, for sure.
How I could be, how I should be. I can be at the wine press pushing whatever, but when it's time for me to step up, what was so hard about picking up that sword? It was easy.
Yeah.
Back then, you know what I mean? And that's where we need to get back to. Like, it's nothing wrong with having fear and hiding in a cave, but eventually you got to get out that cave. You got to go and do what you got to do.
And when you step into that, what happens is the people have to see you in a different light. And some of the people won't understand it, and it's okay. And some people will leave and dismiss, and that's fine. But you got to walk in there, like I told you, even going back to just the practical side of it. Like, I got to level up,
right?
How I present what I have,
and it has to be respected that when I change, you can see it as funny, but the only people that see it as funny is people that don't see your worth.
Absolutely.
Because people that know that you now is like, okay, he want to do this. Well, we wasn't doing this before, but shoot, honestly, should have probably been doing it like this the whole time. Because, like, why am I asking for things that are mine?
Right. No, valid, Daniel. Why am I asking for stuff that's mine? That anywhere else it wouldn't be a problem.
Right. I shouldn't have to ask for the respect. I shouldn't have to ask to, in your case, to be compensated for the things in which I do. It shouldn't be a question.
Yeah.
Once I named the price, that's what it was. J. Cole said just recently on the joint, he was like, I'm on the track. It might not have a Drake effect, but cut that label check.
No,
because that's period. This is what this is what my price was. This is what it was going to be. Period. Regardless of what happened after.
No, valid. And like I said, and once again, I'll take a responsibility because I'm finding they have this thing called value proposition. And that's the element where you feel like, what's your why factor? What you bring was different. And as I identify what I bring and what I have and what's going on, I realize, I'm a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
Not just in business. Yeah, I'm a businessman. I'm a father.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a husband. I'm a board operator. I'm just these values. And if you just took one of those things and put them in their full potential, that's an asset all by itself.
Taking it, or to make it even simpler, taking those things and putting it where they belong.
Absolutely.
Because I used to like how I used to dance, but dancing on the street don't mean nothing. But if I dance and I put it on the stage,
right
now we talking different. You know what I mean? Same thing with, okay, I'm a board operator, but board operator at church is just your service.
Yes.
But a board operator at a radio station and board operator in the studio, now I got a price. And I think that's where sometimes our things is. And then even simpler than that, instead of having
Good
to
morning.
validate ourselves because of the things we do, which is going to take it may take a couple generations to get out of it.
Yeah.
Just to be like, my name is Frank, I'm a man, and that's and I'm valuable in that.
Yeah, for sure. And just where I am, because you're like, Frank, how does this apply to my life? Is because if I told the guy I worked for that church, we were both serving, we did like janitorial stuff, but he would get a little bit of disrespect in conversation from those in the church office. Okay. And he would just take it and go with a stride. And I told him, I said, they treat you like that because you allow them to. There's the first approach. Oh, this joke slide, that joke slide. But what happens is they've gotten comfortable
Right.
with talking to you like this, but you haven't expressed your frustration or your concern about the matter, so they don't know to do anything different.
Right.
And I think that sometimes we are not willing to, and I'm guilty. And I'm guilty. I got a message today. I made some adjustments to a show today, and it was last minute. It was because I was already toiling internally whether I wanted to address this or change this because of the conflict that it might cause.
Right.
Not that it's going to cause one, that it might cause, and you just can't in this moment of value. You just got to be sure.
Right.
All right. This is the decision I'm making. Go ahead.
True. I don't think half of it's not someone's being sure. It's just following through. If I say that's what it's gonna be, I'm gonna follow through on that.
Yeah. And that's the end of the show right there. No, because because I think that's what happens is when you fail to follow through, it taints the value that you say you are.
Right.
Knowing the value is one thing, but following through on the value is another. Because if you tell me that you got this great value or you have this great possibility or you bring this to the table, I now expect you to bring that to the table.
Right.
And every time that you don't follow through, it is a dagger to what you said, which is now your integrity and your character.
Right.
And it's like, but let me just go to the flip side, to the person who's trying to execute, I've extended myself. So therefore, what I say I can bring to the table, I can bring. But because I've exhausted areas of my life in other places, it now caused lack for you. I told somebody this yesterday. I said, people who've come to the radio station, when they first get here, they feel the value, that worth, and it's amazing. And that's what it's supposed to be. I said, but because I find myself overextended in life in general, it's not just business. I got church, I got home, I got these factors. But because over time I become overextended, the value that I made them feel in the beginning of the first couple of months now is, oh no, I can't have that encouraging conversation as much. I can't have that, oh, what's your days like? What's your dreams going on? I can't give you what I gave you in the beginning because now my time is up. I got to come in here, get this show done, on to the next. We moving.
Right.
Which now is like, oh, he should talk to me. Now he used to engage with me. And it's not that I'm trying to be distant. What happens is I have, and this is responsibility, overextended myself and held myself up for other people. And I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for years. This isn't just the Fire 716 Henley Holdings. Right. This is Frank's lifestyle.
We tend to put ladders up when we have stairs.
Valid. Valid. And what's happening is now at the age of 35, I got to hone this in, not just because I'm 35, because I got a wife and I got children.
I'm responsible.
I'm responsible. And I used to challenge people that, say, family come first. I hear you. Family come first, but transitioning from a single man into marriage, God, I am my family. It's me and you, God. We have this, and you've been moving in my life so crazy, in my servitude. So why would I change this paradigm now that I'm married? But it's like, yeah, I got you. But God, and this is good for somebody. But now that you're in this position, your responsibilities, I have grace to adjust for you. So guess what? The way you operated for the last 5 years ain't what I'm calling you to operate in now.
Right.
I'm calling you to operate in a different vein. Is it still servitude? Yes. I put a stat up. I said, it is not that you serve, it's how you serve. And sometimes we are serving on this. This is gonna sound crazy. We are serving on a peasant level, and this is good for that season. But as God evolves you and He elevates you into new positions, you're still a servant, yes, but you're not necessarily doing as the peasants did. What you mean, Frank? Let's just talk. I'm not gonna use the help, but there's tiers in leadership. Yeah, you may start out as a dishwasher. That's your servitude, granted. But now you're a chef. Now you're the cook. You still serve, but you still not washing dishes. You're not against washing dishes. Right. If you have to, you will. But your position has changed, and I need you to serve different. Because if you serve, if I called you to be the chef to serve, and you still trying to wash the dishes, you're messing up what I'm trying to get to the people.
Right. It's like if we bring it to Old Testament or Bible stuff, it's like at one point I used to just play music, but now I bring you your cup when you thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
So now because before you would see me in a distance, but now we face to face a lot.
Right.
Which means now we have space to have conversations. Now we have, now you ask me my opinion.
Yeah.
Because we see each other. You know what I mean? So how I'm operating now in my responsibility is different.
It's different.
I don't know. As a man, a lot of things is difficult to do because it's a lot because us and the world put so much on ourselves.
For sure.
And our need, and I don't think people notice or see it. And I know it, like at least in Black men is a lot more prevalent, that we spend most of our time trying to show that we can do something.
Yeah.
Then we spend on the execution. And some of it is because no one believes it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you got it.
Yeah.
So now I gotta prove
I got it.
You know what I mean? All the time. And I'm in this space now where now I feel like I'm always having to prove myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
we
gotta get to a point where
That's good.
I don't care about proving myself no more.
I am, and as I stutter, as the preacher in me kicks in, that is so on point. And because I'm over having to prove myself, what I said is who I am. Now let me do.
Right.
But I'm so and I'm guilty, and people may watch this and be able to fill in the blanks. However, but if the opportunity comes for me to do something that is outside of what I've already been doing, I'm going to take that opportunity because I believe it's going to be an asset to where I'm trying to go in the vision of my life. But because I'm trying to prove to people sometimes, no, I told them I would be available and a servant and I'll be here. Just because I take the opportunity, and this is just me dealing with myself, the opportunity doesn't mean that I'm not going to be here.
Right.
I may not be in the capacity that I was in before, but I'm still here. Yeah. I'm still present. And this is really an internal battle that I'm having with myself. This is just bringing it to the forefront because I know that life is real. If it's happening for me, happening for somebody else. I told my ministers and elders at the church that, listen, I get the need to pivot. And I'm literally in a pivoting phase. Like, Frank, you changing? Absolutely. And I'm going to talk to the value of just what I was able to establish by the grace of God here thus far. Mm-hmm. If you didn't know who I was, had no identity of who Frank Hanley is, mm-hmm. and you walked into this place and you sat down at this table, the value of compensation would be without doubt. Oh, for sure.
Right.
Boom. But sometimes people being present for the buildup, for the comfortability, can impede upon them seeing the true value.
Right. Ooh.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, I took my wife's car to get her brakes fixed. After talking to the dude, sat there, watched him change the brakes or whatever. And after I asked him for his number, I was like, let me get your number because I have somebody that I take my car to fix mm-hmm. it. but if you can do it, I'd rather pay you.
Mhm.
I was like, you a black dude, you cool with my wife. I'd rather give you the business
Right.
if you gonna do it in a timely manner.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And the first thing he said to me was, yeah, because I give you discounts, and I had to stop him
Yeah.
because I was like, it's not about no discount. I was like, I'm gonna give you whatever you
Valid.
say that you want. I was like, because I'm not looking for a discount. I'm looking for you to do what you said you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And in that same vein, we do that to ourselves. We discount ourselves.
Man.
We will get into conversations and tell people, oh, I can do this for this.
Listen.
Instead of what you want.
Yeah. And that's and once again, I'll put my hands up into surrender. I'm guilty for it. Guilty for underselling myself. Guilty for giving out more value. And listen, I tell you, I've been checked. I've been checked. Okay, because we're looking for. Oh, I just want to get the deal done. I just want to be it ain't even worth it after you giving out discounts and stuff. Because let me just talk business. I'm here for it today because I got to do an income statement. What my overhead is to keep alive what's happening don't come at a discount.
Right. And that's one thing that I don't think we forget, but it take us a while to come back to. And it's weird because we say it all the time.
Yeah.
But I feel like everybody don't always follow through with it. Like I gotta feed the family. Like
I gotta feed
it. What you mean?
Like literally. And like I said, I have no problem being open book, and I pray no one is offended by my honesty. Because it's not just a rant, it's just a real life conversation for business and my personal life. Rent due in both locations. Let me just talk. I talk to him business wise. $3,000 is required a month to maintain the space by itself for real. Rent is what it is. These softwares, these lights, it's a responsibility, right? But my home has a responsibility too as well.
Right.
And when I'll say this, the misappropriation of funds from my household to try to maintain the business and vice versa isn't a good practice. They say this, don't commingle funds. Don't use business money for house money and house, you don't do those things. So to separate that, what you're saying, Frank, I'm saying what happens is sometimes we are just trying to survive in survival mode and we depreciate our value because we're just all over the place. Instead of being firm. Now, it's a hard place, though. This is a hard place. I'm not going to lie. Being firm with what's required to make things happen, we tend to cheapen out because we're just trying to get the things done. But while we're cheapening out, we're making cuts. The quality ain't there. It's a hard place, and I get it. But I just know that if I want to be successful and long lasting and have longevity, not just in business, but in my lifespan, you got to find your balance. You got to balance your books mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And like you said earlier today, you got to know what to place where and when, not just in title and responsibility, but in emotions and feelings and investment. Because if not, you'll definitely burn yourself out.
Yeah.
Burn yourself out.
And a burnt out man is emotional.
Even though
is
emotional damage.
It's
like
emotional, angry, sad, all at the same time. I want to talk to you. Why is you talking to me?
Right.
Everything that you say to me
Hannah, good morning.
Seem like you're yelling at me every time you say something to me in any kind of tone of voice that I feel like it ain't the tone of voice I want to be talked in right now. Now I gotta attitude.
No, valid.
I'm tired.
And then what happens is when there's and I love my wife. My wife said something to me. She said, Frank, every time I ask you something, it just seems like you exhausted. It is the request ain't bad. It's just that it's another request.
Right.
It's not even that whatever you want, we'll make it happen. I got you, but it's just another request. Like, dang, all right, it's another request, and it's like people say, oh,
It's not like walking in the house and then having to walk back out the house.
valid, and it's like people will be like, oh, you take rest and take rest, and watch this, and I'm gonna be very very honest. You can't efficiently take rest if you don't apply the value outwardly that's required. And I say that because, once again, because you are lowballing or you are getting discount, you're now you're working more
Right.
to compensate versus it costs $500 to do this, but you want to do for $250, $275.
Right.
Knowing that rent is $1,000.
Right.
So you could have been halfway there, but now you're a quarter of the way there.
Because I don't value myself.
Because I don't value myself.
I don't value my rest.
I don't value my rest. I don't value my time.
Story. Another story.
Go ahead.
I got so many. At work, when I first started working, I would pretty much be not a yes man, but okay, I'll do it kind of person. So if you needed something, if you needed somebody to go to this floor, nobody want to go, I got it. Don't worry about it. If you hey, can you go here for me? Yeah, I got it. And I did that for a really long time. But then, because this is what it is, when I came to value my time, like the money was always good, but now when I wanted to do things, or when I felt that the respect and the gratitude wasn't there, it became a problem when I stopped being that person. And now I talk different. You see me different.
Yeah.
For like 2-3 years, it got me into a lot of trouble. I was in HR over things that I said or how I was. And now,
Kelly, good morning.
And now at work, people see me as an authoritarian in a way, because now it's like, well, we can't make Daniel do that, because he's gonna be like, nah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna tell you, and if you want to write me up, that's fine. And then he's gonna tell you, and I don't care. And then, so like I started valuing myself.
Yes.
In a space where most men don't value themselves because they find a value in the work. I had to start valuing myself. And it's weird. I feel like for us, we have to start outside the home, because it's outside of the home where I feel like the aggression should be. So then when I get home and I want to start establishing value in myself in this house, it's not in an aggressive manner. It's in a, well, look, this is who I am.
Yeah.
These are the things I do. I'm not saying that the things that you do aren't this or important, but I need this time, or I really need this to go this way.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be an argument. I don't want it. And I can come in this conversational attitude.
Yeah.
Instead of walking in and being like demanding
and valid.
You know what I mean? So like,
and so I want to read this comment. It's not on the screen, but somebody just wrote this on Facebook and just give you a testament to the vein that we're in. The person says, I'm going to need for people to stop assuming that I'm available at all times to do things that they need me to do last minute, because that will lead to disappointment. The person says, I move on a crazy schedule, have a lot going on right now, and refuse to run around like a chicken with my head cut off. Thank you for being understanding.
Right.
But once again, that is somebody identifying the value in who they are.
Right. Though we will say, like, I'll do anything if the money is there. I'll go to wherever it is, and I can understand that. My old barber, his name JR, he would tell you that he would get his whole book. His book could be filled with appointments. But he would be like, hey, if you got a flight at 5 o'clock and you need to get your hair cut at 2 o'clock, he was like, you could call me. That's fine. You gonna be paying that 2 o'clock price though.
No, valid.
Whatever it is, that's you gonna be paying the 2 o'clock price for this haircut, and that's just what it's gonna be. And I think that we need to get to there. That I value my time, I value my rest, I value myself so much that anything you want to do last minute, if I can fit it into whatever else I'm doing, you're gonna have to pay the difference in time for me.
Yes.
And it's not gonna be something that I'm gonna explain to you.
Right.
Because and this is where it be, because it'd be people that ask you for your service all the time, and then they start asking for your service outside of service hours. And they be expecting the same service price. And that's not how it works. When you came and you set an appointment for me, it was $100 to come in here and do what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But when you called me and you say you wanted to do something on Sunday at
right,
you had people that was gonna come and show up and this, that, and the third. Okay, that's cool, but you owe me $3.
And I'm gonna say this: there are going to be people who's going to value your value, and those that will not. And you have to be okay of not servicing those that will not, because if you fight, or you keep trying to explain, or you keep pouring your heart out is okay, but if you keep it, my lord, calm down, killer, you're missing the opportunity that your value can be honored somewhere else. And I use that more so in business and relationships outside of the union of marriage. That's a whole nother fight. You can get into that fight. That's a different whole different
that's
right.
A monster.
That's no valid
in itself.
But truly, if you're not going to value what I produce, and I deem it to be valuable,
right?
Like, I'm not telling you, value it because it's ranky dank, it's janky, and it's not quality,
right?
But if it is valuable, I'm not saying that it's perfect, but it's valuable,
right?
And that that people will go above and beyond to do. Why am I fighting with those that don't?
Right. It's like when you need your car fixed, you don't argue with the mechanic.
You don't
what his price is. You go ahead and you gonna pay him whenever he get done. However, when you gotta get the money, you're gonna go and do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, if he mess up,
you go back to,
guess what? Yo, what's up?
What's up? You're guaranteed you got to fix it.
What's up? You gonna fix it, and then when you start telling me prices now, a lot of people could do. You gonna go and pay that price too.
Valid. And then when you go shop around, you look for somebody cheaper.
Right.
You get. I'm not saying that it ain't good work all the time, but sometimes it's cheaper work. So you might come out with a screw. Oh, this screw came from somewhere I couldn't put back. And then it's like that. I only paid $10, $15 for this.
Right.
So this is what I got to deal with now. And somebody said this, that when you go cheaper, you get more expensive, because when you try to go the cheaper route, not just the lesser route, a cheap route, it ends up not being the quality that you wanted it to be.
Right.
So you find yourself going back to the very thing that was like, oh, I should just went here the first time.
Right. Or you, in that same vein of it, you meet them halfway. And I think that sometimes we forget about, not even forget, that we don't do it. Like, we'll be mad about something of a price, but we didn't meet no one halfway.
Yeah.
Like, when I came to the radio station, the finish line, I was at the finish line. Everything was already set up for me. I just walked in here. Well, you know what I mean? I didn't come in early. I didn't change the lights, help you hang nothing up, nothing this here, this there, that there. And then be like, so what's gonna be? And maybe have an expectation that, maybe it'd be a little cheaper because I was here for it. You know what I mean? Which I'm not saying you can or can't do, but like, it's like if you need your brakes fixed, if I bought the brakes.
Yeah, valid. There's no need for you to be paying.
Why am I paying all this when I'm only paying for the hour it should take for you to fix this?
Absolutely.
Now, whatever your hourly rate on that, fine,
valid.
You know what I mean? But if you got to do, if I got to do everything, then guess what? Well, you're going to pay for
Yeah.
my everything price.
Yeah, valid, and that's just what it is, and that's a whole. Daniel be tapping in, okay, because when you start talking, and like I said, in the process, there's some things that I've done, and I did them not being naive,
Mhm.
thinking I was just doing good marketing or good this or good that, but realizing, wait a minute, in this world that I've created here,
Right.
there's responsibilities that I'm operating in three different departments and only getting compensated for none of them.
Right. And none of the things I'm doing is a hobby. My wife will call what she does a hobby, and then she'll call it a business, and then she'll call it a hobby. And I will tell her that you are lowballing your prices, but then you'll be like, well, I'm not doing it for the money, but you do it to make money. And so I'm at this point where I don't let it go. But it's just like, well, if this is a hobby and that's your hobby price, fine. But that take time. That take
Yeah.
money. And you not always making that back how you want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, for anybody that's out here just doing it and giving people hobby prices, you
Right.
need to
Yeah,
reevaluate how you're
and
going
that's
about
what,
it.
and the show today is you're the only designer that you know that you got to just put the value in. You got to put the value in you, but you also got to put that value in your conversation. Put that pressure on people, and I think that people are getting frustrated and overwhelmed and exhausted because you're not putting the pressure on who you say you are.
Right.
We do this thing in class. It's called a 1-minute pitch, where we got stand up and just explain who we are. You got to know it. And it's important because a part of the pitch process is if you don't know the value of who you are, you'll never articulate it well.
Right.
So you can't ask me to come and support you or add value to you if you don't add value to yourself. If you don't even know how to articulate your own value, your own worth.
Right.
And that's where my conversation is at today, because I am in a place where I have to highlight my value, and then put pressure on it.
You
So
gotta build steel doors.
no valid, and for sure. And I realize, and you know what, I get it. It ain't for everybody.
Right.
I understand. Maybe it don't fit in your budget to execute, and unfortunately, I can only give you alternative options that'll fit your budget. But I can't be the producer, the editor, the marketing agent, the advertiser, and the builder.
Right. Because if I was running a studio, those is 4 different niggas.
Four different Yep. And
all 4 of them got their own price for whatever
own
they
price
doing.
for what they doing. And let me just break this down real quick, just in case somebody's watching. Like, there's one price just to record. That's just recording. That's just camera and soundboard. That's just one price.
Right.
That video now goes to a place. Wait a minute. You want to edit this for
a thing.
For a thing. You want this to be on Snapchat, and you want this to be on TikTok, you want this to be on Instagram. Well, that's
a different price.
That's a different price because that's time to edit. Or do you want a flyer to promote it? Oh, that's another price. For you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not knocking these things that I've done.
Yeah. But just like anything, these things have packages. Packages have prices. You know what I mean? When you go to Microsoft and you only buy Word, well, shoot, Word might only be $10.
Right.
But if you want Microsoft Office is $150.
No valid, for sure. And like I said, this is just, they're like, Dad, Frank, you coming for your people? No, I'm not coming for anybody. What I'm saying is that I'm in a learning curve.
Right. And I'm putting my foot down.
Valid.
And you need to respect that.
Valid. And if it is a challenge for you to do so, I completely understand.
Right.
But that also understands that we got to make a different situation.
Right.
You may, and I'm just talking, just talking. You may not be able to do a full $75 show time frame, the full show. What's your budget?
Right.
Oh, here's 30 seconds on TikTok. That's what I can do for you. 4 times. Boom. That's what the value of what I can get. What I'm saying.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying, oh, I can't do. There's nothing to promote what you want to do, but I'm just understanding that Frank. I can speak for Frank, middle name, Hanley, last name,
Right.
has truly, truly exhausted myself and conversation. And I'm gonna just be honest. In my last 5 minutes here, um, the landlord on the door knocking.
Right.
And I told him he didn't like it. He didn't like it at all. I ain't got nothing for you. Frank, what? Frank, you told me you had. I know what I told you because I thought it would be here.
Right.
Not that I didn't. My projections of what I thought I would have didn't show up. So now I find myself, and mind you, in this, all things work together for the good, right?
Right.
But people don't like the good that. Now this is a fresh deposit. All things work together for the good,
Mhm.
right? But my good might be your challenge. So the good for me is I realize that I can't do things how I've been doing them. That going forward, the value that I have to advertise and promote it and push it.
Right.
And then I also have to set my pricing to compensate.
Right.
I got to have an income statement, got to have a cash flow.
Right.
I got things to do. This is for my good. But that means that for those who it may affect financially, it's for my good.
Right. That's why I say, we build like, building steel doors because they are inflexible. But if you want it bad enough, you could put a dent in that door. You can knock down this door. Now we at a place where, okay, you, like I said before, okay, you came halfway. All right, we could do something. We could do something because you brought half of it.
Yeah.
Now we could talk as well. Now we on equal footing. You done did this. You done did all that, and now this is what I got. I didn't have to meet you down the street.
Right.
You came all the way down the street to come see me.
For sure.
And now you gotta. Well, you came down the street price.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Valid. And then what happens with that is if you do that well, because ideally, if I'm getting the unction to value up myself and those things, just in our connection alone, if you're open and willing to it, I'm going to check you the same. All right, this is what I have to do for my business.
Right.
Well, guess what this podcast is? Guess what this conversation is? This is your business.
Right.
So you got to put value in your conversation. You got to put value in how you move and operate. That's another conversation. I'll say it as I said before. I'm in this business class, and it is helping me, but it is checking me live and direct, because while I'm getting the conversation here, I'm seeing the consequences of my past decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so yeah, I'm changing. Yeah, we're rearranging things, making things more efficient, but literally because I didn't do this before, the compensation doesn't exist, but the bills still need to get paid.
Right.
So that's just that. So if I left with my word of wisdom before I throw it to Daniel to release his, is identify your value, apply your value to yourself, and apply it to others. And those who cannot grab it, grasp it, or tap into it, it's okay. It's okay. 'Cause there's an investment required. Yes, there's a time investment, but there's a responsibility of monetary investment as well. Give me an organization or a group of people who ain't got dues, who ain't got something coming in a month
from somebody
to make sure that what we're doing is going to last. We can buy stuff and buy supplies. So that's where I am. I think what I have here is awesome. I think it's great. And you know what aided to this show too, with the show we had on this past Wednesday was a great. It was a crazy show, but it was a great show.
It was a great show.
It was a great show, and the engagement in those things lets me know, Frank, this is a force I put inside your hands to create something to be that dynamic, that amazing, to the point they want to pull a part 2 for next Wednesday, same time, maybe 9 o'clock, same time for y'all who's too tapped in. Same time, they value something here. They value the microphone, they value the voice, they value the platform. Okay, great. If I hold that kind of value, then that means that going forward, there should be some compensation. There can be, oh, I believe in you. Boom.
Right.
There's, oh, I want to do my podcast. Boom. This is what it takes. This is what it is. If you want to benefit off that value. So I just say, know your value, apply your value to yourself, and apply that value to others. And those who will value, you tap into. Those who cannot, it's fine. And sometimes it's people you love and family and people who are comfortable.
Right.
But it's okay. So you got words and wisdom for the people?
Price yourself. Price yourself. And when I say price yourself, I mean put a price on everything that you do or can do. If I can do this, well, to me that's like $25. To me, that's like this much money. To me, that's this much money. So then at the end of it all, your price could be your price. He was like, well, shoot, I price myself out. And this is how much it will take me to do this thing or do these things. And now my price is my price. Become inflexible in your price.
Yeah.
What's your price?
What's your price?
Find out what your price is.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you find out what your price is, keep your price there.
Yeah.
Until you could do something a little better. And now, guess what? My price never come down. My price only go up.
Yes.
And that's how you value yourself, because your mentality should be, my value never diminishes.
Yeah.
My value can only increase.
Valid. Listen, y'all. It's with this Big Frank in the morning. Dan the Dark Knight, the provider. This conversation was intense. Do me a favor. It wasn't intense. It's just real. Share it. Let a friend know. Tap into the other people, because you're going to a place, we're going somewhere, and the investment into yourself is due now. I'll holler at y'all. Peace, love.